What's up, everybody? I'm Ari Temkin, and this is Showtime right here on Phantom, the New World Order of Sports Media, and every day at noon Central, talking Cowboys with you. So thank you all for being a part of today's show. If you're watching along the Law Nation 2.0 YouTube page, shout out to all of you. I'll be checking comments on all these various platforms throughout the show today, and I will try to make all this stuff go away at some point too. Richard Lozano says just in time. G. Garcia in the house. Eric Koshaney here as well. Everybody go ahead and hit the share button. Also broadcasting across Facebook's multiple platforms, the Dallas Cowboys America's Team page, the Law Nation Facebook page, the Silver and Blue Nation page, Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys Report. Also, Dallas Cowboys, what else? Alyssa Moreno gives me the kissy face Alyssa. Cody Arnold says, get Earl, Uncle Jerry. I know you see this. Of course. Dan Orlovsky, the Dan Orlovsky. R.I.P. George Andre. R.I.P. the Dan Orlovsky. Bebo Colazzo says, thumbs up. Jerry Jones, hasn't Aaron Rodgers taught you anything? Go get Earl Thomas now from Dana Forget. Curtis Starks is back in the house. What up, Curtis Starks? He says hello. Cody Wallace, what's up? What's the word on Aloka? Are we even interested? We should be. All right, that's across the, let's see, the Dallas Cowboys report page. Let's see what's going on over there, if anybody's checking in over there. Doesn't look like it yet. Let's see, just trying to check in on all the pages. I know everybody's foaming at the mouth to hear what's going on at the safety position with the Cowboys, which is not an obvious need for them. Eric Koshaney says, bet DSI. Damn right. If you like what we're doing here at Phantom, make sure to, to check out all of our sponsors, because the sponsors are what keeps the lights on here. And at this point, I don't know if the lights are even on because, as you can see, there's fuzziness all around me. I don't know why. It's quite frustrating, I'll be honest with you. So frustrating, I've continued to point it out. And probably nobody's even noticing, right? Jorge Lamelli says, what up, Law? What's going on, Jorge? How are you? Just trying to say my hellos. Just trying to take the temperature of everybody that's watching this right now. And usually I go for an hour. So we'll see. We'll see if I'm feeling like an hour today. All right. There's that. Also, the Dallas Cowboys Fans Club. That's FANZ, the Dallas Cowboys Fans Club, the tried true and bleeding blue. Let's check out and see if anybody's checking in there. No. I'm just kidding. Kind of. All right. G. Garcia says we need to talk about this tight end situation. Can Garrett game plan around their strengths and weaknesses? The tight ends? I don't know about that. All right, on the Law Nation 2.0 YouTube page, let's see here. Flows Infinite says, you too, Ari. Shout out to you, brother. Roman Gutierrez is third. Let's see here. Robert Rees in the house. William Perez in the house. Michael Preston says Darius Jackson needs more playing time. Over who? William Perez also says, heard Rico's one of the ones. Let's see here. By the way, just a shout out to all you folks watching on the Law Nation 2.0 YouTube page. If you wouldn't mind, scroll over to the Watch Phantom YouTube page and make sure to subscribe and like the Phantom page as well. Trying to grow our audience there on YouTube. So help us out and go and like the page. We've got a lot of great content we're bringing to you, whether it be from myself on the Dallas Cowboys and tons of other great Cowboys content. TJ Carpenter with the Denver Broncos, or Josh Briscoe soon on the Kansas City Chiefs side as well. So if you're watching this on the Law Nation 2.0 YouTube page, thank you. Thank you for checking it out, and make sure to continue to post your comments. I'll get to them eventually. And also, most importantly, if you wouldn't mind, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page. All right. So here's the deal on the safety position. I saw already a few people commenting on George Aloka. I don't think the Cowboys are going to sign George Aloka. I've brought this up over the last few days. He's been outspoken as it pertains to the anthem controversy. I hate to continue to circle back to this, but anybody that's anybody that's been involved in that in any capacity is probably not going to be a fit with the Dallas Cowboys based on their owner, Jerry Jones. With that being said, I also think, the Cowboys are in a position where they want Earl Thomas. They're either going to make a deal for him now or sign him in the offseason. So, he's going to be with the Cowboys, whether it be this year through trade, or next year through free agency. So they're not going to spend money long term to shore up the safety position with a guy like George Loco, who they're not completely married to or enamored with. And, I think as it pertains to that specific player, there's a market for him. And so I think the Cowboys look at it and say, look, we've allocated X amount of dollars to Earl Thomas after this season. So we don't want to get into a bidding war with the George Loco out there. So, I certainly think that the Cowboys, this has sort of remained unchanged throughout the entire offseason. There's a need for the Cowboys to address the safety position. There's been a need for the Cowboys to address the safety position. An injury to Xavier Woods shouldn't have changed that. They've always had drastic and glaring needs at that position. So, again, I don't think as many injuries as they've had this preseason, especially at that particular position, that shouldn't enhance the need. There's always been a need. And this is a constant thread and storyline that's been going on throughout the entire offseason and now into the preseason. It hasn't changed at all in any capacity whatsoever. They still have a glaring need at the safety position. They will remain having that glaring need at the safety position. And the injuries to Woods and Kayvon Frazier's got a lingering issue he's dealing with, and Jeff Heath, and on and on. None of that should change the outlook for it. Let's see here. Sean Moore. What's going on, Sean? Let's see him commenting on the Phantom page over at facebook.com/Watch Phantom. You might be watching this thinking, what is Phantom? Phantom is the new world order of sports media. We are delivering live sports content to you. So if you like what you're seeing, make sure to check out all of our sponsors. Make sure to continue to post your comments, hit the share button. Those are ways that you can help us continue to bring you all the places you want to go. 8 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be streaming live after practice from Cowboys practice at the Ford Center in Frisco at the Star. These are the kinds of things that we're able to do with Phantom. So make sure to continue to support us and our sponsors in order for us to continue to bring you this great content. We are, at this point, a mom-and-pop shop, if you will. So every comment, every share, everything counts. Sean Moore says, has Bailey gotten his groove back at practice, or is he still missing kicks? He has. He's gotten his groove back at practice. He's looked good. But I don't really care about what he's doing in practice. To me, I'll wait and see what happens in games, and in particular regular season games. A kicker is only as good as his mentality and the psychology, but what's between the ears. So, yeah, obviously that's something to continue to watch for. My dad's watching. Hey, Dad, how are you? Eric Koscielny says, what the hell are we going to do about safety? We need at least one big name out there. How do we plan on signing without getting a safety? Well, they did. They signed Dominic Sanders. They're going to bring in another guy, Jerron Johnson. So, they're going to have numbers of the position. The question is, are they going to go and satisfy your want to bring in a big name? And that I don't know. Teron McKinnon says, no audio, brother. That might just be on your side because I believe people are hearing me. At least that's what appears to be the case, the comments. So perhaps, Taryn, that's on you or Teron. Let's see here. Jose Godoy says, is Rico making the team? No, I don't believe he's going to be making the team. And yeah, he was yesterday. William Perez says he was working with the first team today. That was last night during practice. He had a few reps with the first team. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe they're trying to get a different look at him, but he's still third or fourth on the depth chart. And, again, this sort of goes back to the same. It's like with the safety position and Rico Gathers, we continue to have the same discussion. The coaches have no confidence in his ability to understand basic offensive principles or basic blocking. So, yes, he does make some plays that really stand out to you, but he's also out there for 30 other plays where he's, not blocking well, not understanding his assignment. There's a basic trust. Football is about cohesion, guys. Football is about 11 guys being on the same page at once. And if those guys are not on the same page at once, the play is not going to work. Everything has to be in unison and cohesion. In basketball, one guy can drive to the rim and have a great one-on-one game and be successful. But in football, if you've got 11 guys that are not on the same page on what they need to be doing, then you're not going to have a successful play. And that's the problem with Rico Gathers. And I'm going to continue to say that. That's why he's fourth on the depth chart. That's why he's not, he's not getting the reps that we saw, last year during the preseason, this preseason. John Dyer says, I swear they gave Rico looks with the first team just to feed Rico mania. Maybe they're doing it to showcase him, to try and see if there's any value for trading him. Because, look, I think the Cowboys have a glaring hole at tight end. I know some people, I know some people were like, there was a couple of people commenting on the Law Nation page after this was posted, like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. What do you mean they're not set at tight end? They're loaded at tight end. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? Somebody was like, just another guy regurgitating what he reads in the Law Nation comments, and it's like, bro, I'm at practice. I was at Oxnard for a week. Like, what are you talking about? Just regurgitating what I'm reading about there, and I'm seeing it. What in God's name are you saying? You have literally no idea what you're talking about. The tight end position leaves a lot to be desired, and I'll continue to say this. You look at the best red zone teams, the best red zone scoring offenses. They have legitimate threats at tight end. The Eagles. I know we don't want to talk positively about the Eagles, but here's something that's really important. The Eagles had one of the best red zone scoring offenses last year because of the tight end position. They constantly were in third and goal situations, and they constantly force-fed the ball to their tight end. That is a mismatch. The tight end position is a red zone mismatch. It's the reason when you look at the best red zone scoring offenses in the National Football League year in and year out, they have really good tight ends. I don't think the Cowboys have adequate enough players at the tight end position to be a really, really good red zone offense relative to the tight end. Now, I think the zone read, which is deadly in the red zone, is something that they will be able to help their scoring offense, especially in the red zone. But you look at their 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 red zone work in practice. They're constantly trying to target Jeff Swaim or Blake Jarwin, and those guys just are not the threats that you see from Rob Gronkowski or from Zach Ertz or any of these other really good scoring tight ends throughout the National Football League. And that's like, we're going to continue to see them target tight ends in the red zone because they get good matchups. And that's the reason you should have a good playmaking tight end. But, and I certainly think, and I'm on the case of, well, Gathers would help that, wouldn't he? He's a mismatch. He's a guy that they could really take advantage of in the red zone. But he has not earned the trust of the coaching staff. It's the reason he's buried in the depth chart. It's the reason he's not going to make this football team. Sean Moore says they have bodies, but they don't have guys that are ready to play. Agreed. All right, let's see here on the Law Nation 2.0 Facebook or YouTube page. Let's see here. Dallas Lee comments: Cowboys would be stupid for not keeping him, and he's not fourth on the depth chart. He's third. Well, look, Dallas, then you're assuming that Dalton Schultz is not going to make this team, and I'm assuming that because he was just a fifth-round pick, that he gets a priority to be kept on this roster. The Cowboys teams keep their draft picks, especially ones that are 6 months removed from being drafted. So third, fourth, whatever he is, Swaim and Jarwin are ahead of him, and then you've got to do the math on, is Dalton Schultz ahead of him? And maybe he's fourth right now and Gathers is third, but the question is, when they build their 53 out, are they going to keep Rico Gathers and cut a guy they just drafted? I mean, history in the NFL suggests they're not going to be willing to do that. Let's see here. William Perez says, got you subscribing right now. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. If you are watching this on YouTube on the Law Nation 2.0 page, thank you. Make sure to go to our Facebook page at Watch Phantom and make sure to subscribe there as well. Also, again, if you are watching this across all of our Facebook channels and Facebook pages, make sure to hit the share button. I'm going to be trying to scroll through all the pages to try to see what everybody's saying. Armando Sanchez says, I want to know about the Chicago Bears. Do they have any chance this year to make it to the playoffs? Why do you want to know about the Chicago Bears? Why do you want to know about the Chicago Bears, Armando? The Chicago Bears should be drastically improved this year than last year. Are they going to make the playoffs? Hard to think so. Packers are good, Vikings are good, Lions are good, so they're in a good division. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. We'll see what happens, but I think the Bears could win 8 or 9 games this year and not make the playoffs. The NFC is really, really good. Like, when you look at the divisions, the NFC East has potentially 3 playoff teams in it. The NFC North has potentially 3 playoff teams in it. The NFC West, I mean, the Rams are really good, right? I mean, I don't think the Cardinals will be any good, but what about the Seahawks? Seahawks could potentially be a playoff team. The NFC West might be the worst division in the NFC. And then you look at the NFC South, Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans. All potential playoff teams there. No tight end scored double-digit touchdowns in 2017. Is tight end really that important in the red zone? No tight ends in the NFL scored double-digit. Well, yeah, I mean, but that's John. That's what John Dyer says. Look, I'm talking about red zone effectiveness. I mean, that's look at who were the best red zone offenses in the NFL last year. Who were they? I know the Eagles were one of them, except Graham. All I want to know is who are the best red zone offenses in the NFL. The Eagles, I'm guessing the Patriots, they're all going to be teams with effective tight ends at pass catcher. That doesn't mean they're going to score 15 touchdowns a year, but it means it gives you a major matchup nightmare that teams can go to. And the Cowboys, look at the Cowboys in practice. The Cowboys are throwing to their tight ends consistently in the red zone during practices. So, and I just haven't seen the effectiveness of Jarwin and Swaim in those situations, and they need that. All right, let's see here what else we got going on. The Dallas Cowboys America's team page. Curtis Starks wants to know, how is Zach Martin coming along? We can't afford to be without him. Ding, ding, ding. So we are 22 minutes into this show now. 22 minutes, guys. It's the first time anybody's mentioned the biggest issue right now facing the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody's mentioned this. People are asking about the safety position and Rico Gathers and their defense, and nobody thought to mention the biggest, most important issue right now facing the Dallas Cowboys. It's twofold. One, it's Zach Martin, who I saw and took a video of at practice, after practice yesterday. He was walking around, looked okay, had a limp with a little bit of a wrap around his knee. Cowboys say he'll be fine to go for the regular season opener against Carolina. Okay. What about Travis Frederick? Travis Frederick saw a specialist in Oxnard in Southern California when the Cowboys were in Southern California. Everything was fine. Everything came on normal. Tests were great. Everything looked fine, which explains why we heard yesterday that he's potentially seeking a second, third, fourth, and even fifth opinion. It's bizarre. So you saw a spine specialist for repeated stingers. According to what you said, everything turned out normal and looks fine. He was held out from the game. Makes sense. He was held out from yesterday's practice. I assume he's not going to be in today's practice. He's going to see a second opinion, a third opinion, and as Bill Jones from CBS 11 in Dallas reported, perhaps even a fourth opinion. Guys, forget about Rico Gathers, forget about safety, forget about literally any other issue or problem you have with this team. This team's ability to be as good as you want them to be, this team's ability to make the playoffs, this team's ability to be viable in any capacity whatsoever hinges on their availability of their offensive line, and namely, 3 guys along their offensive line: Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick. If those guys aren't healthy, this team isn't doing anything this year. I don't care what they have at safety. I don't care what they have at tight end. This team isn't doing anything this year unless Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and Tyron Smith are healthy on the field for the majority of the season. Sean Moore says the Frederick thing is concerning. It's extremely concerning. That's why I can't believe it took 22 minutes for anybody to bring up the Zach Martin thing. People still want to know about Rico Gathers in the safety position when the entire viability of this team this year rests on their availability of their offensive line, and again, namely Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, and Tyron Smith. And here we go. More people on the we have to trade for a tight end. Dale Rusella says, I'm a little worried about Dan Bailey. Cody Arnold says, I'm not taking a shower until Jerry gets Earl. Cody, I'm glad you don't live by me. I hope you don't live by me. You don't live in Plano, do you, Cody? Cody Wallace says, well, I thought Zach Martin's MRIs came back negative for anything serious, and he should be good to go for Carolina. Yeah, sure. But, I mean, like, they play games. There's going to be continued wear and tear when playing those games. The bone bruise today, that's fine. But yet this is still something to be concerned about moving forward. I mean, he starts the season with a bad knee. Yes, he's available and everybody's projecting he's going to play in Carolina, but it's extremely concerning. And then on top of that, we should be even more concerned about Travis Frederick, who everything came up fine for his tests that he took in Southern California, and yet he's going to have a second and third opinion. He's being set out from practice. So, there's a lot more than meets the eye here when it comes to the Cowboys and what they're saying and what they're reporting about the injuries of their players. Now, again, I saw Zach Martin at practice yesterday. He was limping. He looked fine. Give him 2 more weeks, which is basically what there is before the start of the regular season, and he should be fine. But he's going to continue to play in games, so there's going to be continued wear and tear on that knee. It doesn't, it's like Tyron Smith. His back is fine now, but you're going to play in NFL games. That's a car crash every Sunday, over and over again, repeatedly. So, everybody goes through the season and deals with injuries. That's you're not going to be injury free during the regular season. The question is, can you still maintain your availability? Can you stay in the lineup? That's what's important here. And again, so Zach Martin's knee is going to be a lingering concern for this team all year, and Travis Frederick's repeated stingers are going to be a continued issue for this team this year. It might even be an issue before we even get started because, again, everything came up normal and fine, despite the fact that everything did not come up normal and fine because he's going to seek a second and third, and as Bill Jones from CBS 11 at Dallas reported, perhaps a fourth opinion. Why would you do that if you got a good result? That's concerning. Neil Favre says neck and shoulder, no joke either. No. I mean, you hear spine specialists, stingers, you're talking about nerves. It is very, very, very problematic. Let's see here what else we got. John Dyer says Eagles drafted a tight end, so they weren't satisfied at tight end last season. Yeah, but I mean, they drafted a tight end because they lost Trey Burton, who was their secondary weapon in the red zone. Ertz is there, and they even felt like they had a viable tight end as a red zone target, and then upgraded in the second round by drafting Dallas Goedert. And then John Dyer says best red zone teams: Jacksonville, Philly, New England, Green Bay, New Orleans, Chicago, Dallas. Only one Pro Bowl team in that group. Jacksonville, pretty viable tight end. Philadelphia, we talked about it. New England, we talked about it. Green Bay, Chicago, Dallas. I mean, Dallas had Witten last year. I don't think he was necessarily a red zone target. He says only one Pro Bowl tight end in that group. All right, John. Well, my belief is the best red zone teams score because they've got a great tight end as a target that's a matchup nightmare. And I think there's some evidence to support that based on the best red zone teams, namely Jacksonville, Philadelphia, and New England. But perhaps you're right. Perhaps you're right that the Cowboys are not going to be hampered by their inability to have a pass-catching tight end. Then John Dyer follows it up with, whoa, now you're scaring me with the Travis talk. This is the opposite of pandering. It's almost like I'm not pandering. Let's see here. Joe Tranchina says our offensive line is the bread and butter of our team. If they go down, we're in trouble. Yeah. Yeah. No, we could sit here and talk about tight end and the problems that the Cowboys have at that position. We could sit here and talk about the safety and the problems the Cowboys have at that position. But, to me, the biggest and most important thing to discuss is this offensive line. And, it's funny because I know other people throughout the week, or at least specifically yesterday, brought up the poor play from their backup O-lineman. And it's like, they need to improve their backup O-line. Well, I mean, a lot of teams don't even have a good starting offensive line. So who do you think has good backups at offensive line? So, I mean, it's not like, it's hard enough to get 5 cohesive quality players along the offensive line. That's just not going to, you're not going to have a quality backup offensive line. And from the looks of it, Joe Looney and Cam Fleming, I mean, you basically at this point have more, backup quality backups along your offensive line than most teams do along their starting offensive line. So, you're just not going to have two offensive lines that are going to be interchangeable and really, really good. Eric Kashani on the Phantom page says maybe Frederick is just trying to be thorough. Yeah, no, yes, and that's certainly that is a very viable point and an important point to bring up. It doesn't mean just because he's seeking a second and third and fourth opinion that he didn't like the first opinion that he got. Maybe he's just looking for validation. Or maybe he's seeking multiple opinions because he didn't like what the first doctor told him. Again, I don't know. But it is extremely concerning. And nothing, in my opinion, more concerning from the Cowboys' perspective than that. Let's see here. All right, on the Silver and Blue Nation page, Jason Lopez in the comments. Jason, sorry about that. I'm just getting to these now. Let's see here. Chris Heinsworth says, in case Dak gets hurt or else our season's over, Cowboys need a backup quarterback. Well, I mean, sure. That's something I talked about yesterday. I've not liked what I've seen from Cooper Rush so far in the preseason or Mike White. They've not looked good, especially relative to what we saw from Cooper Rush last preseason. I know people are like, well, his backup offensive line's not good. They're not giving him any time to throw. I'm sure that could be part of it, but I mean, they arguably had a worse backup offensive line last year in the preseason, and he played just well. I mean, just fine. So, I mean, yeah, I think that's an issue. But I certainly wonder if Dak Prescott goes down, if there's any quarterback that's available that they can get that would make them still reach their potential. The answer is probably not. Jeremy Allison says the Cowboys need to go get Eric Reed. They're not going to go get him. He's not signed because of the anthem protest. And certainly the Cowboys, with the owner of Jerry Jones, who's already said that he's not going to have any of his players kneel during the national anthem, are not going to be interested in a guy like Eric Reed. All right, Jason Lopez. Cowboys season all depends on their offensive line, left tackle, center, right guard, all this year. Need to improve. And this year, Dak must step up. Was that a autocorrect from Dak to Deck? Receivers and the receivers, otherwise he's not the quarterback they need. What they stole from the Cowboys because they waited too long, 9-10 men in the box with Zeke. It was that can't hit receivers down the field, they won't win. You run the ball to keep the clock going in possession, but you throw the ball to get points in the first downs and big plays of the passing game. You run the ball to keep the clock going and possession, but you throw the ball to get points in the first downs, big plays, the passing game. Yeah, I agree with all that from Jason Lopez. By the way, if you're watching this, do me a favor. Hit the share button. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Post your comments. Let me see what's going on the Law Nation 2.0 YouTube page. Let's see here. Romo to Bryant 46 says, not even worried about Zach, more worried about the wide receivers. I hate having sorry wide receivers. Yeah, but I think you should be worried about Zach, my opinion. Romo to Bryant 46 says, if 21 is dead or suspended this time, this team's in the playoffs. I don't care who is playing the offensive line. That I don't agree with. I definitely care who's playing along their offensive line. I mean, if they're playing without Frederick and Martin, they're not a playoff team. Zeke is really good. Don't get me wrong, but that is too many holes to fill. That is just too many holes to fill at that position. Let's see here. What else we got? Dak misses a lot. That's from Dallas fan. You mean like Dak misses guys a lot? Yeah, I mean, he's a gamer. That's how he's been, throughout the time that he's been here. He's a better quarterback during actual games than he's been in practice. So, I mean, that's what he's been throughout the course of his career. Super Soul Cries says, we're going to be fine. No need to panic. Fine what? Fine like we're going to be fine. Cowboys are going to be fine. They're going to win a Super Bowl? Or fine like the players are going to be fine because that's what you hope will happen? What do you mean they're going to be fine? I mean, I'm not panicking. I'm just simply saying that, like, the Rico Gathers thing continues to, be on the forefront of everybody's mind. The, safety thing, like, none of those issues matter if they don't have Zach Martin and Travis Frederick and Tyrod Smith out there for the majority of the games this year. And probably more specifically, 16, and if not 16, at least they miss early games and they're ready and healthy to go for the by the end of the season. When you need those guys ready and healthy to go. Hello Newman says our biggest worry is O-line depth. Next draft we need to pick up at least 3 O-linemen. I don't think that's your biggest worry. I'll be honest, Hello Newman. O-line depth is not the biggest worry of the Dallas Cowboys because nobody has O-line depth. People barely have O-lines that are viable starters. I mean, there are a lot of bad offensive lines in the NFL. Cincinnati was horrible along their offensive line last year. So it's just very. Quality offensive linemen don't sign with teams that already have 5 legitimate, all-pro guys along their offensive line. And, I'd be concerned for the Cowboys to, invest a lot of draft capital in the O-line, considering, that they have, pretty good offensive line and they have holes to fill at tight end, at safety, and on and on and on. So, you prioritize some of those other positions over the offensive line. Boomer Sooner says Fleming was just a system player in New England. Super Soul Cry says, I'm not concerned at all. This is a game of attrition. Players go down, next man up. I believe our team is good enough to endure. Really, dude? Did you watch last year? I mean, under Jason Garrett, this team has shown no ability to overcome injuries. I mean, they do have a next man up mentality, but the issue is, that they constantly use the inability of the next man up to be successful as an excuse. That's like the Jason Garrett era is mired in excuses because of injuries. And my hope is, if you're a Cowboy fan, you'd expect more, especially because you'd hope that Garrett wouldn't keep his job if this team misses the playoffs, regardless of any injuries. Sean Moore says something I agree with, which is pretty common. Says, I really think Dak will be good as long as the line is intact. Totally agree. And Zeke. The Cowboys are built on offense. That's where they spent the majority of their money. It's where they've spent the majority of their first-round picks when you look at the last decade. And they're built to win with a really good offensive line, a really good running game, and that Zeke knows what to do within the confines of that offense based upon a really good offensive line and a really good running game. But you start to mess with the equilibrium in those regards, and you've got issues. Matt S. says the Eagles had O-line depth, and they won the Super Bowl. Yeah, but it was more than just O-line depth, Matt. It was, they had depth. I would argue it was a head coach that knew how to game plan in order to make up for some of the injuries that they had. They had a ton of injuries. Their starting quarterback got hurt. Aside from Dak Prescott's rookie year, Jason Garrett from 2013 to 2015 was 1-13 without Romo. Now, again, as I wrote about for 105 through the Fan earlier this week, Tony Romo was their de facto offensive coordinator. He'd call the play at the line of scrimmage. So perhaps that was what put them behind the 8 ball when it came to Tony Romo missing games in that span where they were 1-13 between 2013 and 2015. But, yeah, and John Dyer, I think, hits the nail on the head here. O-line depth with Looney and Fleming is solid, but Frederick and Martin might be our best 2 players. Yeah. Who are the 5 best players of the Cowboys? 2 of them have to be Frederick and Martin. I don't think there's any question about that. So, they're built to win with those guys in particular. Let's see here. Joseph Candelaria says, damn, all this negative talk. Well, look, it's negative. It's what it is. It's concerning that Travis Frederick said he's fine after visiting with the spine specialist and is now going to seek second and third opinions. It's you can call it negative or call it looking at this thing realistically. None of these other problems at safety or tight end matter when you're talking about can Travis Frederick and Zach Martin be healthy enough to play 16 games this year. If not, the Cowboys have major problems. Let's see here. Romo to Brian 46. If 21 if healthy, we win the Super Bowl. Last year? Man, I don't agree with that. Romo to Brian 46. Darren Price says they also had a proven backup quarterback. You can't blame Garrett for blame front office. What do you mean by that? They also had a proven backup quarterback. They also didn't have a proven backup quarterback, so don't blame Garrett. You're talking about during the span where they were 1-13. Look, I don't want to bring this up, but I will. Brandon Weeden, who was one of the starters during that time, right? He was like a joke for the Cowboys, could not do anything. He went to Houston and won a football game that same season. It's coaching. It's putting a game plan together that allows your team to win in the absence of a quality player. Jason Garrett is not he wanted Brandon Weeden to run the Tony Romo game plan in 15 whatever year that was. They cut Weeden. He goes and wins a football game for the Houston Texans. Why? Because in that particular game, Bill O'Brien basically installed the Oklahoma State offense, and it was easy for him, and he won a game for them. So Bill O'Brien in 1 year with less time, because remember, Weeden had been with them as a backup for more than a season and couldn't win it, and Garrett couldn't coax a winning game plan out of him. And then Weeden goes to Houston, Bill O'Brien installs a game plan in a week, and he wins the game. That's coaching. It's not front office. That's coaching. I'm Ari Temkin. You can catch me on the 105.3 The Fan pre- and post-game show for the Dallas Cowboys. That is along the Dallas Cowboys radio network. A reminder, if you like what we're doing here at Phantom, thank you. Joe Tranchina says on the Dallas Cowboys America's team page, don't worry, we have Chaz Green. Yeah. No, I mean, look, Joe Looney, I think, played very well. It didn't seem like much of a significant drop-off. I shouldn't say that. There was. But, I mean, Joe Looney was effective at starting at center. And Cam Fleming's looked good in camp. So they've got two backups that look like they can be plug-and-play starters. But the problem is, again, Zach Martin and Travis Frederick, as John Dyer pointed out, are two of the best players on the team. All right, so again, if you like what we're doing here at Phantom, one, hit the share button. Hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. Thumbs up on YouTube or share on Facebook and help us expand the audience. Also, make sure to support our sponsors like SeatGeek. And if you want to go see the Cowboys and Cardinals on Sunday Night Football in preseason week number 3, which is the dress rehearsal, and that's what I wanted to get into next, visit SeatGeek.com and use promo code PHANTOM. That's F-A-N-T-O-M. You're going to get $20 off your initial order at SeatGeek.com. So again, if you're looking to go to the Cowboys and Cardinals Sunday Night Football game this Sunday at AT&T Stadium, make sure to drop by and say hello. I'll be broadcasting live with Jesse Holly from the Miller Lite West Plaza before the game as part of the pregame show. But make sure to go to SeatGeek.com. Use promo code PHANTOM, F-A-N-T-O-M, and there you're going to be able to get $20 off your first order. So make sure to use promo code PHANTOM at SeatGeek.com or by using the SeatGeek app. Let's see here. Neil Favre says 2015, the year which we do not speak of, Here's the good news, though. 2016 looked to be one of the most dynamic drafts in recent Cowboys history. Because, I mean, the Cowboys got Zeke Elliott in the first round, Jalen Smith in the second round, who looked like a bust up until this training camp, but it's looked every bit the quality linebacker the Cowboys thought they might be getting with their second-round pick. Their third-round pick that year was Malik Collins, who's probably their best interior defensive tackle. He's got injury problems, but he's their best interior defensive tackle. And their fourth-round pick was Dak Prescott. One of their fourth-round picks was Dak Prescott. So, I mean, that's a pretty good draft. So, yeah, 2015 was a bad year. Neil Favre, 2015, the year we don't speak of, but 2015 gave you the 2016 draft, which has built the core of this team, which, again, in my opinion, is a playoff team. If Travis Frederick and Zach Martin are ready to go. All right, let's see here. Dusty Brandon says, Sup, R, if we don't sign Earl or the GL, would Heath switch to free and let Frazier start strong? No. Well, that's not a horrible idea. But no, they're, man, I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to start Tyree Robinson at free safety. An undrafted free agent's going to start for them at free safety. I don't know. It's certainly concerning, the safety position. But, again, not as concerning as the offensive line. And the issues now we see with Zach Martin and the knee bruise, and then Travis Frederick. And the safety thing is not a new issue. Like, that's the thing is the offensive line suddenly is a new issue, which you're not going to fix this close to the season. I mean, you're not going to find another Zach Martin, Travis Frederick to come in. It's not an issue you can fix. Safety position's been an issue. I mean, it stays an issue. And it's an issue they can't really fix. They could fix it by plugging in a Joe Looney or a Cam Fleming, but those guys aren't Tyron Smith or Zach Martin or Travis Frederick. Armando Olvera says you could talk about all the injuries, and problem is in the team, but meanwhile we don't have a respectful coach. The Super Bowl is so far. Look at the Pats. The players come and go, and still the team's on a high level. Yeah. So that brings me to my next question. Should the Cowboys sit their main starters for the rest of the preseason? What do you think? Post your comments wherever you're watching, whether it be on YouTube along the Watch Phantom YouTube page or at Law Nation's 2.0 YouTube page, or on Phantom, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching across the Phantom page, whether you're watching across the Dallas Cowboys America's team page, Silver and Blue Nation, Dallas Cowboys Fans Club with the Z, Law Nation, the Dallas Cowboys Report, all of those pages. Chime in, let me know what you think. Should the Cowboys sit their main starters the rest of the preseason? Meaning, should Dak Prescott not play on Sunday night? Should Zeke Elliott not play on Sunday night? Should Sean Lee not play on Sunday night? Should whoever else you can think of, should those guys not be playing Sunday Night Football? Should they just basically put all their players in bubble wrap and get them all ready to play September 9th against Carolina in Charlotte? Or are you of the belief that playing the preseason gets timing and all the other components ready and right, and that it's an important thing that those guys participate and play in those games? I'll give you my answer in a moment here, but first let me tell you about BetDSI, betdsi.com. It's only a game until you bet. Again, as I've mentioned, go to BetDSI, support Phantom and what we're doing here. I had streams live at Oxnard for training camp. I will be streaming live tonight at 8 o'clock from Cowboys Practice the Star. Phantom is bringing you to all these places. We're bringing you as close to the Dallas Cowboys as we possibly can. So help us by supporting our sponsors. So go to betdsi.com, and with your initial deposit, use promo code Phantom, and that's going to get you 100% back. So if you go to betdsi.com now, use promo code Phantom, put $100 in as your initial deposit, you're going to get another $100 to play with. It's that simple. It's that easy. Go to BetDSI. It's only a game until you bet. All right, let's see here. On the Law Nation Facebook page, Carrie Teagle says Rico will make the team. If you say so, Carrie. Let's see here. Ted Mitchell says, I think they use Tyree Robinson and Dominic Sanders as bridge players till next year. I mean, again, Earl Thomas will be on will be on the Cowboys. It just might be next season. And, so I think they figured that Xavier Woods would be good enough in order to be the bridge gap guy. And if he outperformed their expectations, that, maybe they didn't even go out and pursue Earl Thomas. Well, now they're behind the 8 ball because Xavier Woods is going to miss a couple of games probably. So now they're dealing with undrafted free agents and Tyree Robinson and Cam Kelly. And now you're talking about a guy like Dominic Sanders, who's an undrafted free agent who they just signed. And, why? That's problematic. This is a guy that has not – there's every team – 32 teams have 90 players. Do the math. This guy didn't make any of these rosters. Anybody that thinks Dominic Sanders is anything other than a camp body is sorely mistaken. 32 teams have 90 players available, and this guy didn't make a roster. That's not a guy that's going to make your football team. I don't care how much you lack depth at the safety position. Ted Mitchell says he goes for another doctor's appointment today, I believe. Yeah, is that from before? Ted Mitchell also says, nice shirt. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate you saying that. The Wounded Warrior Project, which is actually over here. I should have pointed to the actual logo, but make sure to support Wounded Warrior Project. Henry Noakes says, any trades or waivers you're expecting? I'm expecting Earl Thomas to be traded, but I don't know about that. Waiver, yeah, they're going to make some. But the roster cutdowns are after the final preseason game, so we'll see if the Cowboys are active in any capacity whatsoever after their final preseason game. All right, what else you guys got? Keep them coming. Otherwise, I'm just going to dip out of here until 8 o'clock tonight when I'll be back to do a live stream post-practice. But I want to thank everybody for being a part of today's show. Let's see here. Jason Garrett is plus 14 over his years here as head coach and has one playoff win. Most coaches can't achieve more than that. Most coaches can't achieve more than that in 7.5 years and get replaced. It's mediocre results. This team has big expectations every year, and it's a bit baffling that the head coach has been given this much rope. If the team, God forbid, flops this year, surely something would change. Sean, well said. Couldn't agree with you anymore. I'm not a big Jason Garrett fan. To me, he projects the aura of the coach he'd like to be. And yeah, he's been given plenty of opportunities. Sean, I find it hard to believe that if the Cowboys miss the playoffs this year, that Jason Garrett is not going to be, will not return as their head coach. I don't see how it's possible. If they don't make the playoffs this year, there's no way the Cowboys can get away with not firing Jason Garrett. I agree with that. And if they don't fire Jason Garrett, then they're going to have a very unhappy fan base that is going to look at this team and say, are you even trying to get better? Brandon Allison says, rest the starters and let the youngsters duke it out for the roster spots. Neil Fowler says, not seeing anything about Kyle Cuero. Is he still on the roster? He is. Teresa Hanna, Clappy the Clown. Yeah. Yeah, Kyle Cuero's still on the roster. He's running with the linebackers. You know, I'm as surprised as you are that they moved him from safety to linebacker, because I thought, you know, he was a preferred walk-on in a sense. He was a guy they undrafted. They gave a pretty good signing bonus to. I guess they always projected him as a linebacker. You know, Chris Richard, as he spoke with the media yesterday after practice, basically said, guys where they are right now, that's where they're going to be. Nobody's switching spots now. I don't know why they moved Kyle Cuero from safety to linebacker, but that's where he is. And he's not going to make this team. He's probably going to be a practice squad guy because or he's going to sign somewhere else because the Cowboys have depth at the linebacking core. Brandon Allison says Jerry will not fire Garrett ever. Cody Arnold says Jerry likes and wants the yes guy Garrett is. Look, Brandon Allison and I don't agree with what Cody Arnold says. The Cowboys are like, Jerry Jones is not running this organization autonomously like he has in the past and like his reputation is. You know, everybody has an influence. It's funny because Chris Richard was actually asked about, well, who makes the decisions on changing positions for these guys? Like, who made the decision to have Byron Jones play corner? And it was like, everybody makes the decision. Jason Garrett makes the decision. Stephen Jones makes the decision. Will McClay makes the decision. Jerry Jones makes the decision. I make the decision. You know, the Rod Marinelli makes the decision. And that is the truth about the Cowboys in this era. Might not have been true in the early 2000s, but it's true today. This is how the Cowboys organization functions, with everybody involved in the decision-making process. Now, what Brandon Allison says, which is that Jerry would never fire Garrett, that could be true, but I just don't. Jerry's a salesman, and there will be, if this team doesn't make the playoffs, Garrett will not be able to survive based upon fan reaction and probably also based upon decision-making from Stephen Jones and Will McClay and the other important pieces in that entire decision-making process. Jerry wants Jason Garrett to be successful, as I'm sure most Cowboys fans want. But, I mean, my belief is that if they don't make the playoffs this year, Jason Garrett's going to be out of a job. All right, thank you all for being a part of today's show. Thank you to Eric Kashani, John Dyer, Sean Moore, Neil Favre, Joe Tranchina, Curtis Starks, Dusty Brandon, Brandon Allison. Thank you to all the people that show up every day at noon. Thank you to the newcomers. Thank you to the people watching across our YouTube page, whether it be on the Law Nation page or on the Phantom page. Make sure to subscribe, like the Phantom page. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube page to watch Phantom, and make sure to support what we're doing here if you want to continue to get these great interactive streams more consistently. Again, I'll be back tonight at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central. 8 o'clock Central tonight. I'll be back on the air from the Ford Center in Frisco after practice. So tell your friends, share this post, whatever you can do to help other people to the party. That's what we're trying to do here. Get as many people to the party so we can be as interactive with all these Cowboys fans throughout all the Cowboy Nation. So again, make plans to be back with us at 8 o'clock tonight. Eric Kashani says, you're the best, bro. See you tomorrow. Actually, see me later tonight, 8 o'clock tonight, after practice on Phantom, on the Dallas Cowboys America